22,000 fans allowed in the building at Raymond James Stadium, starting to file in as kickoff is just under an hour and a half away for Super Bowl 55 between the Chiefs and the Buccaneers of Tampa Bay. Welcome in, everyone, to the sports department at the Alert Desk here. Isaac Petcast, Jan Bartels. Man, it's happy, exciting to say that it is Super Bowl Sunday. Dan, I really don't think a lot of people believed that we would get to this point at the beginning of the season. We saw the COVID outbreak before the season began. COVID outbreak that affected a lot of local teams here. No one believed we'd even get to the playoffs, and yet here we are, February 7th, 2021.
You know, got to give props to the NFL, whether that teams were playing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, games were being pushed back, but they never added a week to the season. I thought that was going to be necessary. I kind of was hesitant as far as the NFL was hesitant to add that week, I guess I should say. And I thought maybe that's not the best idea. Maybe they should just add the week 18 ahead of time for any extra teams that need to play. But nonetheless, we're here. I did make the mistake of thinking during the MLB season when there was that first COVID outbreak with the Marlins, I thought no way they're getting through the season. And they did. So I knew the NFL was going to find a way one way or another. Of course, money talks. That's a part of it as well. And we know how much money the NFL brings in, and, of course, the Super Bowl as well. But we're here, and everybody's happy that we're here. So good job by the NFL.
All right, so let's break down the game. We'll start with the Kansas City Chiefs coming in at 14-2 in the regular season. They breezed their way through the regular season. The only hiccup was a hubbub against the Raiders earlier in the season in week number 5. Besides the game that they lost to the Chargers in which they rested all their starters, near perfect, but they weren't covering spreads, Dan, and a lot of fans got concerned going into the playoffs. Are these the same Chiefs as last year? Their points per game average was a little bit down. They're coming into tonight's game averaging less than 30 points per game. We'll get to the statistical breakdown in a second. But they get through the game against Cleveland in the divisional game. Remember, a game in which Patrick Mahomes was knocked out in the third quarter. Chad Henne has to come in, finish the game. 22-17 was your final. And then in the AFC title game, it was really a dominating performance. They smoked past the Buffalo Bills. The offense of Buffalo never really has a chance. And that's when people started to realize this team is for real like they were last year.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone really doubted the Chiefs, but like you said, they have been covering spreads the second half of the regular season, really, and I think that they were just taking their foot off the gas pedal when they had that lead. And when you're a team that good, you're able to do it. And listen, whether they're behind by 20, ahead, they can always score. We know that with this Kansas City Chiefs team. And I heard Tyrann Mathieu say that, you know, even going back to week 12 when they faced the Buccaneers, they kind of took their foot off the gas pedal and forgot who they were facing, Tom Brady. Now, they came away with a win and got the job done. But I think 2 weeks ago against the Bills, they knew that they needed to show everybody how high-powered this offense can be. Weapons all over the field. They can hurt you in a lot of ways, usually through the air, with Patrick Mahomes, doing what he does best, of course, and just making plays.
Let's chat a bit about those weapons. We'll start, of course, with the quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. He's the favorite to win the MVP. He's also arguably the best quarterback in football right now, not of all time. That's on the other side, but the best quarterback in football right now. His weapons, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Mecole Hardman, not to mention Sammy Watkins, who will play today, Le'Veon Bell in the backfield, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, need not I say more. This is a stacked Kansas City offensive lineup, but there is one gap that they're going to have to fill. 2 offensive linemen out, including Eric Fisher, who had a torn Achilles last week.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's going to be tough because, first of all, you wonder about that toe injury for Patrick Mahomes. I think it's okay. 2 weeks ago against the Bills, didn't take off for any large runs, but nonetheless, he looked like he was mobile in the pocket. That's something that's been on the mind. People have been talking about, is that toe okay? I think it's okay. When you got a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes that can move around in the pocket and can take off for a run, that's huge. So hopefully, if need be, he'll be able to move around and make a play. But that edge rush by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, of course, Sue on the one side, and just 2 strong edge rushers that, if he's getting hit all game long, that will affect his throws. It doesn't matter who's down the field. It doesn't matter all of the weapons he has down the field. If you're able to get to the quarterback, that's the only way that you're really going to be able to stop them from scoring.
Pretty interesting tidbit on Patrick Mahomes this year when he has pressured 20 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a passer rating of 89.6. So a pretty good stat margin when Mahomes is under duress. But this is, of course, Tampa Bay's strong suit in defense. And let's shift to the Buccaneers, shall we, Dan? This is a team that had to take the hard road. They ended up 11-5. Were actually out of the playoff picture halfway through the season, had to claw their way back to get there. They had to win 3 games, all of which were on the road. They first defeated the Washington football team 31-23, then going on the road to take down Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints in a close game at the Superdome, then in the NFC Championship game. Despite 3 interceptions in the second half by Tom Brady, the defense gets it done against the Green Bay Packers, and here they are in Super Bowl 55.
And yet Tom Brady did make some really key plays in that game and looked good, other than obviously 3 interceptions is never a good stat to have on your sheet. But nonetheless, he's still able to make those plays, and really all season long he's been able to continue to play at a high level. He's 43 years old. It doesn't matter. He's still doing – he's still – listen, Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback right now. Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time, but the one thing that he still has the edge on is just his football IQ, just slightly. That's what's really allowed him to be able to continue to play at this age, but really his arm doesn't look like it's regressing at all, and certainly he's continued to play at a high level. And this Tampa Bay team, like you said, they didn't, early on the season, it's a brand new team. You got a brand new quarterback, some new weapons to deal with. Antonio Brown comes in later in the season as well. Learning how to adjust, learning how to play and figure out how can we incorporate all these weapons that we're talking about and continue to succeed, not necessarily, is Mike Evans the number one? Are we going to, make sure he gets the passes? Chris Godwin, whatever it might be. They learned how to spread the ball around. They learned how to execute that offense. And maybe people were doubting him, but you never want to doubt on Tom Brady. And I think that they're the hottest team coming in and able to they grew the most this season.
Yeah.
That comes with a little asterisk because obviously, like I said, they're a new team. They had the most room to grow, but they made it happen. And late in the season, we've seen it.
Interesting how you talk about the Chiefs' weapons and how potent they can be on offense. Tampa Bay has equally as key of weapons, if not better. Tom Brady on the quarterback end, Mike Evans over 1,000 yards for the 3rd consecutive season. Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski is in that mix as well. The Bowling Green State University product, Scotty Miller as a receiving end on the backside as one of those slot men. In the backfield, Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones. It's a tandem in that backfield as well. LaShawn McCoy most likely will not play tonight, but he's there as well. This Tampa Bay offense is good, but Dan, where they rest their laurels is the defense. We start with the linebacking core with Lavonte David, Devin White, just to name a few. And on the defensive line, Vita Vea, Ndamukong Suh, and just that ability with Jason Pierre-Paul in there as well to get to the quarterback, and they'll face a wounded duck in the Chiefs' offensive line tonight.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I talked about that already a little bit. And that's going to be huge to watch for. Are those edge rushers going to be able to get to Patrick Mahomes, and how is Patrick Mahomes going to deal with that? But this whole entire defense, if you're looking strictly at the defense, it goes to the Buccaneers. They are the better defensive team. And you saw what they did against the Saints, forcing 4 turnovers. And Drew Brees maybe didn't look his best, but again, that was a lot on the defense and not so much on Drew Brees. And of course, forcing a fumble as well. That can hurt you. And in this game, that maybe it will be a high-scoring game, but the difference maker, the momentum swing, might just be a turnover.
It could possibly be, for sure. Remember, Patrick Mahomes in Super Bowl 54 against the Niners threw 2 interceptions before the Chiefs rattled off 21 points in 5 minutes and 55 seconds to win that game. A quick statistical breakdown before we get into the fun sports bets of the evening, and Dan's got a really haymaker on that. Interestingly enough, the Buccaneers' offense statistically is better. 30 points per game, almost 31. The Chiefs just averaging under 30. The Buccaneers also allowing just 23 points a game. But the Kansas City defense during this season has given up just 20.5 points a game, so that will be interesting to see. Yards per game allowed even at 366, dead even, so this is a fairly even statistical breakdown as we split it down the center. Now, Dan, we know the Super Bowl everyone will be watching, but a lot of bettors as well going to make some investments when it comes to key sports bets. So let's have a little fun here and talk about what the key bets might be tonight. If you're interested in that, making some wagers, what's on the market that you think might be a good thing to potentially put some moolah down?
Listen, sports betting and the Super Bowl goes hand in hand. Of course, you got to bet responsibly if you do so, and only expendable money. But yeah, $1 here or $2, and you can have some extra fun with the game. You think, Super Bowl and chicken wings, Super Bowl and maybe some drinks. It's a social event. Super Bowl and sports betting. It goes hand in hand. And right now, just for starters, the basic ones, of course, the spread has stuck at about -3 in favor of the Chiefs. Pretty much the past 2 weeks hasn't budged at all. That over right now sitting at 55.5. Expecting a high-scoring game. We'll see. If you believe in that, maybe hammer the over, but of course you always got to look at the fun ones. Every year, of course, the coin toss is a big one. You've got the over and under of how long the national anthem is going to be played. What color is the Gatorade going to be? You can pretty much bet on almost everything. How many times is Bill Belichick going to be mentioned in the Super Bowl? I'm not sure what the over under is on there, but I saw that bet is out there. How many times is Bill Belichick going to be mentioned? And you think it might be a decent amount with of course Tom Brady breaking up with the Patriots after last season, but of course one we were talking about before is Tom Brady rushing yards right now is only 0.5 is what the over and under is set. So if you think he's going to get at least one rushing yard, you take the over on that one. I think it's worth it. Why not? But yeah, certainly a lot of bets to get into. I mean, we can go on and on here. I'm trying to think of some other ones just off my head of some fun ones. Will a team miss a field goal? Will you get a doink off the crossbar? That's one as well. Of course, there's always the anytime touchdown prop bets. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Travis Kelce. Are these guys gonna score a touchdown essentially? And there's some guys that are like Travis Kelce is a guy.
Yeah,
he's always threatening to score a touchdown. That's always a good one to go with. Mike Evans on the other side of the ball, Tyreek Hill. So yeah, I mean, essentially the list goes on and on, but it's just fun to look at it and maybe throw $1 or $2 out there.
A lot of things interested betting-wise, of course, as well. The Super Bowl MVP, who's going to be that? Patrick Mahomes the favorite, but a lot of others getting a lot of bets down there. So again, bet responsibly, but there are some things out there.
There's some fun ones too. You look at, I think this is over for now, but combining sports, LeBron James, this was for last night's game, the Lakers game, his points, rebounds, and assists versus how many pass attempts will Patrick Mahomes get. So which one's going to be more? Of course, we already know LeBron's stats are done and over with after last night. But again, there's just so much to dive into with some of these bets.
It doesn't make a difference what it is. There will be some wager by some person on something, and we'll keep an eye out for those bets. We want to also mention an interesting tidbit before we get into our keys to the game, bold predictions, and game predictions, Dan. We were looking earlier this week, and actually earlier today, and this could be something that bettors might be interested in. This is the 10th Super Bowl that Tom Brady is playing in, of course, his first with a team not named the New England Patriots. This is only the second time in Tom Brady's Super Bowl playing career that the team he plays for is not favored. The only other time that happened was the first Super Bowl he played in 2003 when the New England Patriots were 14-point underdogs against the Rams, and they took them down. The next 8, he was favored. Now he becomes the underdog, Dan, and as we go into the keys of the game for the Buccaneers, you have to think that underdog mentality might be key for Brady.
Yeah, that first Super Bowl, he was the new man on the block. No one knew that he was going to be what he is now. So kind of understandable that he wasn't a favorite back then. Maybe a little bit understandable now, but it's very interesting. And I said earlier, I think he is as dialed in and as motivated as he's ever been, maybe even more so. I think he does. He wants to prove himself, prove to everybody that he's the reason why the Patriots were so good all those years. And truthfully, he wasn't the only reason. Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, equal parts. But again, he wants to prove that he can go to another team and do exactly what he wants to do. That is win a Super Bowl, of course.
So the big key for Tampa Bay is, of course, Tom Brady. My key for Tampa Bay, I think, relies obviously on the defense. But I'm more interested in the linebacking core. You look at Lavonte David. You look at Devin White. You look at those front 7. They are going to have to be the ones to guard Travis Kelce because the secondary of Tampa Bay is going to have to look at Tyreek Hill and Mecole Hardman as those 2 speedy wide receiver threats. The big question for me is, can the linebacking core for Tampa Bay contain number 87? Because if you take him away, Dan, that's a significant handicap for Patrick Mahomes, knowing that he can't throw to his big man inside the red zone. on third downs, those type of plays that really can make or break the game. So that's the key for Tampa Bay, is limiting number 87, something nobody's been able to do this year. How about for the Chiefs?
I do look at that defense, by the way, for the Bucs as well, just to get back into that. And I just want to say, you got Tyreek Hill to deal with too. Yeah. We know what he did week 12 against these Buccaneers, going for 200 yards in the first quarter alone. So that's Carlton Davis that will probably again have to handle him. So I'm looking at that again as well. The Chiefs, again, we talked about it a little bit. Those two offensive tackles, the starters being out, that's, of course, something huge to look for. I do, again, look at the defensive side of the ball again. We know what these offenses can do, right? So now it's going to be, what will the defense do to change the momentum of the game? And the guy you got to look at for the Chiefs, Tyrann Mathieu. A guy who has absolute range, and I could see him absolutely intercepting Tom Brady today.
That's something that if the Chiefs can get an interception off of Brady, more turnovers that you have, obviously, leads to a more likelihood of you winning the football game. My key for Kansas City, I think, is going to be relying on the offense. I'm looking at Mecole Hardman. He has been a guy who's gone under the radar so far this year, almost at 1,000 yards himself. He's the second fiddle, right, to Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. We know that, but for a guy like Hardman, who might get one-on-one coverage in this game tonight and will not get Tampa Bay's best in the secondary, might be an opportunity for Mahomes to say, you know what, I trust my guy. I know he's not my number one, but that doesn't make a difference to me. It's the Super Bowl. I'm going to throw to who's open. Look for Mecole Hardman to have a good day today with Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, albeit they'll get touches, but they'll be covered a lot more here as we roll along. So with that, Dan, we come to bold predictions. One bold prediction for you in this game. It can be anything that you want. Something out there that you think will happen tonight.
I do think there's going to be a pick six in this game. I do, and I think that whoever scores that pick six, that's the team that's going to go on to win this game. Again, the Bucs have the better defense. It's usually their rush defense that stands out, so we'll have to see how good they are against Patrick Mahomes and that passing offense for the Chiefs. But again, I think the defense is going to be the biggest key, and I think that there's going to be a touchdown scored by the defense today.
Bold prediction for you. My bold prediction is in terms of the points. If I was a sports bettor, which I am not, I would take the under in this game. I don't see it getting to 56.5 points. There will be, in my opinion, at least one, if not both teams, with less than 10 points at halftime. I think this is a feel-out game in the first couple of quarters. Andy Reid, Bruce Arians, both aggressive coaches, but at the same time, they respect the defense. For Tampa Bay, you respect Kansas City's secondary. For the Chiefs, you respect Tampa Bay's front seven and their ability to be able to do that. So I see Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady feeling each other out when it comes to the offense and defensive side of the ball. I think you're going to see a few punts, and in the second half is where things open up. So it is going to be similar to last year's Super Bowl between the Rams and Pats, except in the second half, things will be opened up. Or rather, 2 years ago between the Rams and Pats, and then things will open up in the second half. And I think this will be a low-scoring game, especially knowing that the last two Super Bowls, the under has won out. So the last Super Bowl in which the over won out was 3 years ago when the Eagles beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
And that should have been a defensive battle.
It should have been a defensive
So that's how it works. It's never what you think it is on paper.
But again, it's the Super Bowl. Things are different, and things are all out of there, and you throw out the stats out the window. All right, folks, in the comments, let us know your prediction for the game tonight. Chiefs or Buccaneers, give us the score. We're going to make it for you right here. John Leidick has texted in his prediction. He's off today, a well-deserved day off, but he is taking the Buccaneers, Dan, 27-24. John's gone against the grain in these playoffs, and he's been pretty successful for the meantime. So we have John Leidick, 27-24 with Tampa Bay. Your prediction, sir?
I'm so back and forth with this one. You could ask me in 10 minutes, I might say something different. But no, I actually, truthfully, for maybe this whole past week, it's more of a heart feeling with this game because we just talked about all the keys to this game. But really, these are two teams with high-powered offenses. These are two teams with great quarterbacks. So it's tough to say. I think the only edge I give the Buccaneers is that defense and a few things with the Chiefs. Of course, I think losing those offensive tackles is a huge one. I'm going to keep saying it because we'll see what that pressure looks like against Patrick Mahomes. I'm taking the Buccaneers. I'm going with a high-scoring game. I said it on the Sunday Sports Blitz, so I got to stick with it, 35-30.
Dan with a 35-30 with the Bucks. John with a 27-24 with the Bucks. This game, to me, I think is going to be a game one in the middle of the field. And what I mean by that is your tight end play. Travis Kelce and Rob Gronkowski, to me, are the two biggest players in this game, in part because of the talent on the wide receiving end that is going to be looked at. We talked about on the Chiefs side how Tyreek Hill will get some coverage. We know Travis Kelce will get the double as well. I think Rob Gronkowski is going to get a lot of one-on-one matchups in that linebacking core for Kansas City today. And if Tom Brady can find him, as he's done in other Super Bowls, I think Tampa Bay's got a good shot to win this game. I see the Chiefs winning this game for two reasons. Number one is because their offense is just that much more talented. I think Tampa Bay's defense is very good up front, but do they have the secondary to contest with all those weapons? My second is special teams. I think Harrison Butker comes up large in this game. He makes at least 2 field goals. Remember, this is a guy, besides the one miss in the playoffs against Cleveland, been virtually spot on. So
one of the best kickers in the game right now.
Right, so in the special teams department, I think Kansas City has the edge. The last time these two teams played, it was 27-24 Kansas City. I like the Chiefs to win 26-24. I think this game is going to go back and forth. Like I said, more low scoring than you would expect, but I think it's Harrison Butker with a game-winning field goal, 46 yards to win it. And ironically, 46 yards is the distance that Tom Brady won his first Super Bowl in 2003.
So you're still saying that the Buccaneers are going to beat the spread, though? So that's, hey.
Yes.
That's a win on both sides.
I think the Chiefs win, but I think the Bucs cover. 3 points doesn't seem like a lot, but I don't think it's going to be that far of a spread. I think it's going to be Kansas City close, but man,
it's going to be, hopefully it'll be a close game. Hopefully it'll be a high-scoring game or for NFL fans out there, everyone wants this to be a close game, and I think it will be.
And you know what's interesting, too, Dan, is if you talk to any NFL fan that's been watching for the past 3 years, predicting this game boggles with your mind because you're either going against Patrick Mahomes, who has been the best quarterback in the league the last 2 years. He's a Super Bowl champion last year. He's the best quarterback in football right now. Or 6-time Super Bowl champion Tom Brady. So it doesn't matter which way you go. Your mind is almost telling you that you're going to be wrong, right?
Yeah. And no one's going to fault you for picking one side or the other. And before we go here, I want to talk about the legacies of these two players. Tom Brady's legacy is already solidified. Whether he wins or loses this game, he is the greatest quarterback of all time. Then you wonder if Patrick Mahomes can ever catch up to him because of what he's done already in his 3rd season, 4th technically in the NFL, MVP, Super Bowl MVP, and now in another Super Bowl. It's pretty impressive, but I just don't want to get too high or too low. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. That's why I can factually say, or it's an opinion, I suppose, but I can know in my mind that Tom Brady is the best quarterback of all time, and Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback right now. But nothing is guaranteed in this league. Who knows how long Andy Reid's going to be coaching for? Can Patrick Mahomes do what he's doing now without those weapons? 5 years down the road, what's the team going to look like? Is he going to continue to be able to win Super Bowls? He's on pace right now. You can't say for sure he's going to catch up to Tom Brady.
It's amazing to think, whether you're a Patriots fan, a Tom Brady fan, or a Buccaneers fan, if Tom Brady and the Bucs win the Super Bowl tonight, Tom Brady individually will have won more Super Bowl rings than any other franchise in the game of football. If that line alone doesn't define greatest of all time, then please tell me what does, because I can't think of anything else. All right, Dan, we are an hour and 5 minutes away from Super Bowl Sunday, the kickoff.
On WSEE.
That's right, 6:30 p.m. on WSEE. Stay tuned for the Super Bowl. Before that, though, tune in to Erie News Now at 6 o'clock over on WICU. We're gearing you up for Super Bowl coverage, getting you ready, everything you need to know, those last-minute preparations before the Chiefs and Buccaneers take the field and grind it out for 3.5 hours. It's Super Bowl Sunday. What could be better? We can't think of anything, so we're going to let you go and get ready for the game and get ready for Erie News Now at 6. It's been your Super Bowl preview. Hi, everyone. 1 quarter in the books here from Raymond James Stadium. It's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers ahead of the Kansas City Chiefs 7-3. A late first quarter score for Tom Brady and company. Think about this for a second. The signal caller for Tampa Bay has been in 10 Super Bowls. This is the first one ever that he scored a first quarter touchdown. So the 10th time's the charm, I guess, for the 43-year-old quarterback. from the University of Michigan. 7-3 the score. Kansas City got off on the board first on a field goal by Harrison Butker from 49 yards. This game started with 3 punts. Tampa Bay got the football first. They did not get anything going. Kansas City did get the football and moved it to about midfield, but that advancement stopped there, so they had to punt the football. Then Tampa Bay couldn't get anything going. That's when the Chiefs were able to get that field goal to make it 3-0. But how about Tampa Bay's drive? It was their longest drive of the postseason for the Buccaneers following the Kansas City field goal. It's capped off by an 8-yard touchdown pass from Tom Brady to Rob Gronkowski, so the New England Patriot connection transfers over down south to Tampa Bay, and the two combined for another touchdown. That's the 4th postseason touchdown for Rob Gronkowski in his career. That moves him to second all-time in the tight end rankings for Super Bowl games. Let's take a look at the first quarter stats. We were talking, Dan Bartels and I, about how critical it would be for Tampa Bay's defense to contain Patrick Mahomes. That was the case. Mahomes just 2 of 8 for 9 yards in that first quarter. So right now the Buccaneers defense on pace to hold him to less than 50 yards in this game. Granted, we don't think that's going to happen, but a good night for them so far. Tom Brady, he's been proficient, 6 of 7 for 50 yards and a touchdown. Leonard Fournette, 5 carries, 29 yards. And Antonio Brown has the most receptions for Tampa Bay, 2 catches for 21, both of them coming on that touchdown drive. The leaders in the department on the offensive department for Kansas City have been held in check. Mahomes actually has the most rushing yards for Kansas City, 24 rushing yards for him. Travis Kelce, 1 catch for 6 yards. But you have to give a lot of credit to the Tampa Bay defense. They sacked Mahomes in that first quarter, and they've gotten to him pressure-wise a lot. Jason Pierre-Paul had a pass deflection late in that first quarter that allowed the Buccaneers defense to get off the field. So Tampa Bay doing a great job right now defensively, and they lead 7-3 after 15. We are at halftime at Raymond James Stadium, and my goodness, have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers put on a show. It's 21-6 Tampa after 30 minutes of play. The Buccaneers with a second quarter for the ages after it was a 7-3 game after 1 quarter of play. Let's take you through how the scoring went in this game. We start with a field goal from Harrison Butker. There were 3 drives which resulted in punts to start the game consecutively. Then Kansas City was able to get on the board first at the 5-10 mark. Butker hitting from 49 yards, and it was a 3-0 game. But on the next Buccaneer touchdown drive, which just took over 4.5 minutes long, it was their longest touchdown drive of the postseason. It was Tom Brady to Rob Gronkowski from 8 yards out. Remember that name, folks, because he appears again later on in the second quarter. Gronkowski, the 8-yard touchdown pass from Brady. It's Gronkowski's 4th touchdown in the Super Bowl. That ties him for second most all-time among tight ends in that game specifically. So it was a 7-3 game after 1, but in the second, Kansas City's defense getting a major stop. If you recall, Tampa Bay had the football second and goal on the 1-yard line of Kansas City, and the Chiefs stopped them all 3 times. Ronald Jones unable to run it in on 4th and 1. So the Chiefs get the defensive stop to keep it at 7-3, and everyone thought at that point, well, maybe not. You know, the Chiefs defense will continue to make stands. Maybe the Chiefs offense can get something going. But Kansas City's offense sputters, and then on the next possession, it's a Buccaneers touchdown again, following a bad punt by Tommy Townsend. The first one got nullified because of a penalty, and we'll talk about that in a second. But a bad punt by Tommy Townsend gave the Bucs the ball to KC 37. Then a few plays later, it's a 17-yard touchdown pass from Tom Brady to Rob Gronkowski. The connection that worked so well in Massachusetts and Foxborough at New England works well in Tampa Bay too. So Tom Brady is throwing 3 touchdown passes, Rob Gronkowski has 2 of those touchdown receptions in the first half alone. Chiefs were able to get a field goal late in the first half. It was a 34-yarder from Harrison Butker after the Chiefs could not, in any way, shape, or form, find the end zone in that first half. They were stalled on 3rd down and 6, so Butker made it 14-6 at that point. Then a very interesting decision by Kansas City on the following Tampa Bay drive. The Buccaneers got the ball back with about a minute to go in the second quarter, and Kansas City on the first 2 plays used timeouts when Tampa Bay was gaining a few yards but didn't pick up the first down. So it allowed the Buccaneers to keep the clock stopped while also not having to use their 1 remaining timeout. Buccaneers eventually got the first down. Then they drove down and got the touchdown following a pass interference call. They got the ball at the 1-yard line. and Antonio Brown, the recipient of a touchdown from Tom Brady. 16 months ago, Antonio Brown was taking classes at the University of Central Michigan. Now he's got a receiving touchdown in the Super Bowl for number 81 in white. So the former Steeler now going to Tampa Bay, and he is now in the end zone for the Buccaneers with a touchdown with 6 seconds to go in the second quarter. So it was a 21-6 game at the half. The Buccaneers in front, a game they've really dominated on the offensive side and defensive side of the football. We were talking about the Buccaneers defense, how they would need to get to Patrick Mahomes, and by God, have they done that. Take a look at the statistics in the first half with me. Patrick Mahomes, through the first 30 minutes, 9 of 19 for 67 yards and a passer rating of 56.5. That is by far the worst playoff game Mahomes has had in his professional career, at least in terms of one half. The Buccaneers defense getting to Mahomes, pressuring him, forcing him outside of the pocket so he has to zig and zag in different directions. It's really forced his hand in a lot of passing plays, throwing less than 50% completion in that first half. Patrick Mahomes also had the most rushing yards for the Chiefs in that first 30 minutes. He had 33 yards on 5 carries. Leading receiver for KC, Travis Kelce, 5 catches, 47 yards. But look, take a look at this, though. Tyreek Hill, just 2 catches, 13 yards for the Chiefs. Remember, this was the same guy who a few weeks ago when these two teams played had over 260 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns against the Buccaneers. They are holding him in check tonight. Over on the Buccaneers statistical side, my goodness, what a first half for Tom Brady. He's 43 years old. He's in his 10th Super Bowl, and this might have been the best first half he's ever played in a Super Bowl. 16 of 20 for a $140 and 3 touchdowns for the signal caller of Tampa Bay. He was incredible in that first half. Had almost as many touchdown passes as he did incompletions in that first half. The leading rusher for the Buccaneers, Ronald Jones, 6 carries, 33 yards. Leonard Fournette added 7 carries for 30 yards. And on the receiving end, take a look at this. There are 8 different receivers with catches in this game. Rob Gronkowski the most, 5 catches, 42 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Mike Evans had a 31-yard reception in that final drive that allowed the Buccaneers to be able to get into the end zone for the final time in the first half. Cameron Brate, the backup tight end, 2 catches for 20 yards. Antonio Brown, 4 receptions for 19 and a touchdown for him. Leonard Fournette, 2 catches for 19 yards. Here's the statistical comparison where things really get interesting and lopsided in favor of the NFC champs. The Buccaneers out first downing Kansas City 18-9. They have 5 more total plays, but passing yards 134-67 in favor of the Buccaneers. They also hold the edge in rushing yards 60-57. In the red zone, Tampa Bay 3 of 4. The only time they did not score was that 4th down stop. Kansas City has been in the red zone once, and they have not scored on that possession. Here's the big stat, though. There are no turnovers. Penalties is the key difference if you're looking at one category in this first half. Tampa Bay had 1 penalty for 5 yards. The Kansas City Chiefs racked up 8 penalties for 95 yards in the first half. A couple of them going against safety Tyrann Mathieu. If you're watching the game, you saw him at the end of the first half throw his helmet onto the turf, yelling and screaming as he ran off the field. A lot of anger right now on the Kansas City side, and you can tell the Kansas City Chiefs are frustrated. They have not gotten anything going offensively in the first half. The defense has allowed 3 touchdowns, and they've surrendered 8 penalties to boot. So 95 yards in penalties for the Kansas City Chiefs. 2 penalties, if you remember, took place on that second Tampa Bay touchdown drive. If you think about it, that second touchdown drive for the Buccaneers was stopped both times. Kansas City originally had a 3rd down that they got the stop but were called for a defensive holding. Then, on the next series, they were able to stop Tampa Bay 3 plays later, but on a field goal attempt, there was an offsides against Kansas City that allowed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to pick up a 1st down. So just a lot of bad plays from the Chiefs in that first half, and Tampa Bay, they are absolutely taking advantage of that right now. 21-6 is your score. Buccaneers in front, thanks to 3 passing touchdowns by Tom Brady and a sublime defensive performance by the Tampa Bay defense. Right now, the halftime show is about to begin, so we're going to go ahead and let you go back to that. It's been your halftime update here from the Erie News Now Alert Desk. We, of course, have full highlights, post-game reaction, and everything else you need to know about the Super Bowl tonight on Erie News Now at 11. That's, of course, coming up in a little bit. Until then, everyone, stay tuned on social media and on air. We've got you covered on Erie News Now. Super Bowl Sunday halfway gone. Still halfway to go, though, and we know the Chiefs just eclipsed Mahomes, the 100-yard passing mark, and it took him 3 quarters to do so. So if you had Mahomes over of 250 passing yards, may not be your night. Taking a look at how the scoring went down in quarter number 3, it started off well for the Chiefs with a field goal by Harrison Butker in the third quarter, a 52-yarder, his third of the night, made it 21-9 Tampa Bay. Then the Buccaneers offense continued to dominate. They have had 5 possessions in which 4 of them have been touchdowns and 1 they turned it over on the Chiefs' 1-yard line. Those have been their last 5 possessions of this football game. Leonard Fournette with a 27-yard touchdown scamper, his third of the playoffs, to make it 31-9 at that point. 28-9 Buccaneers at that point. Tampa Bay just pouring it on offensively. Fournette, third postseason touchdown, his second in the last 2 games after he had one against the Green Bay Packers in the NFC Championship game. Then Kansas City's next drive, Patrick Mahomes throws an interception. It goes off the receiver's hands and into the arms of rookie Antoine Winfield. He gets the pick, sets the Buccaneers up with good field position, and Ryan Suckup would make sure Tampa Bay got points on that. He hits a 52-yarder, so Butker and Suckup both with matching 52-yard field goals, and that's where we're at right now with 31-9. Kansas City's going to need a miraculous fourth quarter, trailing by 22 points. If there's any silver lining for Chiefs fans, it's that the KC defense did hold Tampa to 3 on that last possession. And it's important because it makes it a 22-point game instead of a 26-point game. So still a 3-possession game in theory, 3 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion. But at this point right now, if you're Kansas City's offense, have to get the ball rolling. You have to be able to get Mahomes active with Kelce and Tyreek Hill. Hill did have a 21-yard reception at the end of the quarter, so we'll see what happens from there. But to the fourth, if you're a Tampa fan, you're pretty happy right now. If you're a Kansas City fan, you are hoping for one of those comebacks that you've seen so many times by Mahomes and company here in the fourth. Fourth quarter, City Chiefs 31-9. In a game that really wasn't close from the outset, and one that was dominated by the Buccaneers defense and aided by Tom Brady and 3 touchdown passes. This way this game went, Brady with 3 touchdowns, Rob Gronkowski had 2 touchdown receptions himself, Antonio Brown a touchdown catch, Leonard Fournette a touchdown for the Buccaneers. They hold Kansas City to 9 points, a field goal in each of the first 3 quarters. Patrick Mahomes 270 yards and 2 interceptions. They hold Tyreek Hill to just 5 receptions on the night. Travis Kelce, 10 catches, 133 yards, but the Chiefs do not find the end zone. A team that averaged 30 points per game and over 505 yards of total offense per game, not able to find the end zone in this entire contest. The Buccaneers are Super Bowl champs for the first time since 2002. Again, they were led behind Tom Brady's 201 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. He was 21 of 29, a quarterback rating of 125.8. Leonard Fournette led the way on the ground, 16 carries, 89 yards, a touchdown for him. He had 3 total in the postseason. Rob Gronkowski, what an effort for him. He and Brady have teamed up for so many Super Bowls in New England. Now they connect for 2 touchdowns here in Tampa. 6 catches for 67 yards, 2 touchdowns for him. Leonard Fournette had 4 catches for 46 yards himself, and the list goes down from there. Antonio Brown, 5 catches, 22 yards, and a touchdown for him. The defense, though, of the Buccaneers was the real big story. Total yards, the Chiefs gained 350, but a lot of that was late in the fourth quarter when the game was out of reach already. Take a look at how the Buccaneers defense was able to hold Kansas City. 4.7 yards per pass, 2 interceptions thrown by Patrick Mahomes. The Buccaneers with 3 sacks and a lot more pressures as well, holding Kansas City to a total of 107 rushing yards in this game. The Chiefs were in the red zone 3 times. They did not score a touchdown on any of those drives, so Tampa Bay again able to hold the Chiefs to nothing in the red zone as well, and of course those 2 turnovers big as well. The Buccaneers led in time of possession 31.5 minutes to Kansas City's 27 in a game, like we said, that was never really out of reach. So Tom Brady wins his 7th Super Bowl. We'll have to see who the MVP is. A lot of people that could be possibly in that running. Brady, of course, 3 touchdowns. Rob Gronkowski, 2 touchdown receptions. How about the defense? Lavonte David, Devin White in the middle on the defensive line. Jason Pierre-Paul, Vita Vea, just to name a couple in that Buccaneers defense that was unstoppable in this game, holding Patrick Mahomes and company to just 9 points and really forcing the Kansas City quarterback to scramble outside of the pocket pretty much every single play. We talked about how Mitchell Schwartz being out in the beginning of the season for Kansas City, Eric Fisher injuring his Achilles last week, not able to play. Those 2 tackles becoming laborious pains to fill for the Chiefs in this game, and they could not stop that defensive front for the Buccaneers. So the confetti will fall. Tampa Bay are the Super Bowl champions, their first since 2002. Ironically, the year before Tom Brady won his first Super Bowl. We'll go ahead and let you enjoy the postgame. We have full highlights coming up tonight on Erie News Now. A lot to get to, of course. We'll see you in a little bit, everybody. But for now, I'm Isaac Petcash at the Alert Desk. The Buccaneers